Post-COVID, we are seeing some oversupply in some areas, and that makes the market more volatile. Property managers need to compete with more properties for less travelers. What should I have in my vacation rental if I want to be successful in like the next 2-3 years? And so you ask your software companies and with your OTAAs to say, hey guys, what are you seeing from your AI strategies? What new amenities are you launching? If there's a 1% difference in price, no matter whether it's your own listing or your OTA listing, it reduces trust dramatically.
We'll start the show in just a minute, but first, a word from our premier brand sponsor, Track.
My name is Rachel. I'm with Frontierland. Now we're under Ripple Property Management. I'm a super user, so I use several areas in Track. One of the features I really love that we got with Track that we didn't have with our system we used before is automations. So we set up automations when the system sees 2 orphan nights. It automatically sends an email letting them know, hey, these nights are available at an offer. Would you like to book? So we find a lot of conversion rates with that, and it's something we didn't have before, and it's extra revenue for the owner, time savings. They're reaching out to us and asking us, hey, great deal, how can I add a night? And it's worked out really well, and like I said, fairly easy to set up, and just you do it once and don't think about it. The onboarding to distribution, that was great. The review management is a game changer. I have an agent that's her role, and she's just like, this is amazing, thank you so much. The AI responses are really good. They need minor tweaking. The customer support on the distribution engine side is fantastic too. It's like within a few hours I have a response, if not sooner. So I've really, so far what I've seen from the distribution engine, I've really liked. I feel like there's a little more clarity with Trust Accounting and Track. The reporting's better than our old PMS system and just really easy to use. I can confidently say, hey, we've been with different systems. We've been with Track for 5 years now. We've seen it grow as a company as well. And the more we go and test out different places, we see that, no, this is where we want to be. The reporting's good. The accounting's good. For our needs, which are very similar needs to other PMs, we can say, no, we think we have the best one in terms of scalability. If you have a very small, maybe not. But if you're a mid-sized company and you're looking to grow, I would definitely think that Track is the way to go.
Ready to take your operations to the next level? Get a free market assessment, a $400 value that gives you a clear picture of how your business stacks up against the competition. You'll meet one-on-one with a Track expert who will evaluate your performance in the context of your market, uncover gaps and opportunities, and deliver 3 to 5 actionable insights tailored to your business. This is your chance to find out what's working, what's not, and where you can improve based on real market data. Click the link in the description to get started today. Welcome to Alex and Annie, the Real Women of Vacation Rentals. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie.
And we are joined by Lennart Kok, who is the VP of Distribution and Marketing for NextPax. Lennart, welcome to the show.
Well, welcome. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited. And I work with you every day. So this is interesting for me to get to ask you questions outside of the workplace. But there's a lot of people, because you are sitting in our corporate office in Almere in the Netherlands. So a lot of people in the U.S. market don't know you. We do have listeners in Europe.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in hospitality and travel and how you ended up at NextPax?
Yeah, thanks, Annie. Wide background in hospitality. I started off at the Hotel Management University here in the Netherlands. And from there, I enrolled in Hilton Worldwide, one of the most iconic hotel chains in the world. Doing corporate sales for their 5 hotels at that time in the Netherlands. And after that, I went to Booking.com, and they liked the fact that I was working for a global hotel chain. I entered their global hotel chains team. And at Booking, I slowly enrolled in more and more technology, started to do connectivity for Booking.com. So working with connectivity providers that supply accommodations into Booking.com. Got to know Eric and Robert from NextPax in that time. I managed them for over a year from the Booking.com side of things. And then I moved on to a very exciting startup within Booking.com at that time. And that was Booking.com for Business, where we tried to send the 23 million listings that they had at that time towards the corporate travel space with Sabre and with Amadeus and with Concur, to get into the managed corporate travel program. So, and then in 2019, Eric and I had a discussion on how we could potentially collaborate again. And that resulted in me joining NextPax. And over the past 5 years, we've been trying to level up our channel connectivity, moving from 1 preferred partnership to 4 preferred partnerships. Also further diversifying our our channel mix, allowing for other websites to also benefit from the 650,000 vacation rentals that use our services today. And there are immensely new things coming, and super excited about the short and immediate future.
Wow, that's super exciting. And I mean, NextPax, you guys have kind of stood the test of time. I would say there's been a lot of different channel managers that have come through the ranks over the years, but you guys have been around for quite a while. And I was just saying before we hit play, I worked with you guys when Annie, Annie, you weren't there at that point, but when I was at Condo World, we used NextPax and just had great success with them. But tell me a little bit about, you said you have 4 preferred partnerships. So what are those, and what does that actually entail?
Yeah, that's actually a good leaning question to what we're trying to achieve, right? So I think the philosophy of NextPax is to seek seamless connectivity with the most relevant channels for vacation rentals, and more recently also hotels. But I will keep a little bit focused on vacation rentals. And so we have a preferred partnership with Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, and more recently also Homes and Villas by Marriott Bonvoy. And within these preferred partnerships, you run a test to certain criteria. So these OTAs say to you, hey, I want technical excellence, I want commercial growth, and I want you to engage with us on marketing activities. And if you sort of achieve that, and you do that in a more regular cadence, and you find also the balance in the partnership, then they say, okay, this is actually a preferred solution for accommodation partners to use. And what they are trying to do there, all these OTAs, is to steer accommodation partners to those software companies that are willing to commit, innovate, and grow alongside of these of the ambitions that these OTAs have. And I think it's super important for accommodation partners and property managers in the US to understand not only who is preferred or who is not, but also to understand the deeper level of the connectivity actually. And some of the OTAs, they are very open in publishing the scorecards. So for instance, with Airbnb, then we have an excellent score on booking delivery. And you can see all of the APIs we have integrated, and you can also compare providers with each other. And so that is showcasing sort of commercial excellence, technical excellence, and that helps property managers to really make profound decisions on where they actually need to partner with. So that's one of the cornerstones of how we do marketing, is to really excel and basically let others define whether we are doing it right.
I love that.
I think that's good context, because I think that people don't understand the amount of work that goes into keeping updated with the channels, the amount of product development that has to be done, the amount of testing that has to be done. And one thing that I know we talk about internally at NextPax all the time is the differences between the European market and the American market. And so the European market is very open to adopting new channels, and they're very much about kind of test and learn. They want to try all the features, they want to try all the channels. And so it's educating the folks in the US. And I think that one thing that maybe you could shed some light on is the relationships that we have to those channels, and how that actually is helpful to managers when they're using distribution. So we work really closely, as an example, with Booking.com, and they have kind of helped us helped us make our system stronger and better and more adaptable for the managers. But the managers don't see that work obviously behind the scenes, and they haven't been able to access all the tools because maybe their PMS doesn't have it. So they're having to learn and navigate, what the channels can offer. And so maybe you could dive in a little bit more about what the work that we've done with Booking.com and what that actually means to a property manager.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think in essence, what I alluded to earlier is the fact that we are seeking seamless connectivity with all these top line OTAs. And Booking.com is one of those channels that really also embraced the need for seamless connectivity between traveler on one hand and the host on the other hand. They want a seamless experience in every aspect of the travel journey. And so they are heavily investing in the provider ecosystem to make that happen. But that's a journey. So 2 years ago, we started off with a whole workshop identifying all the pain points in the software solution and the connectivity that we provide. And then we started to really address those foundational needs of property managers and hosts to service travelers. in the entire journey. So I think the report came up with like 32 recommendations, really advanced recommendations. So we're not fixing the utterly basic stuff, but it all had to do with foundational solutions, but to really make that bridge from the Booking.com extranet, where people were logging in to make all the changes, to having all those functionalities and compatibility in the channel management software. And so we did that together with Booking.com, and that resulted in the fact that we are now a seamless experience product. It's a new concept, and they are handing out badges towards all kind of providers and PMS systems. And the seamless experience product says, okay, all the foundational solutions that you can do in the extranet, NextPax supports, and moreover, within NextPax you can really try and make that seamless. Now, there's a second journey to that, right? Because as we know, this industry, channel managers are in the middle of like the OTAAS and the accommodation partners on the other end, which are also using PMS systems. So like the new journey, and that's why I'm saying it's a journey, and that's why I'm saying like maybe between Europe and US, because the US is such pragmatic on using PMS systems, that there is still a journey to go ahead on. So we still need to make sure that all those functionalities, that we market those, and that we tell all the PMS systems about, and that we continuously address these things with them to say, hey, we can also make you seamless. Join us on this endeavor. For instance, Booking.com, you can report guest misconduct. Like if I look on LinkedIn or any social group in Facebook or Reddit, the constant complaint of like, oh, I had a traveler demolish something and we couldn't fix it in terms of reimbursement, insurance, etc. But there is actually functionality available in NextPax to report guest misconduct to Booking.com and make sure that is handled very nicely. Or invalid credit card procedures can all be managed from NextPax with a single click. But it would even be nicer if we can bring that technology even further out in the field with PMS systems. So there's an open invitation for everyone within the PMS ecosystem to learn about, hey, how can we actually get the seamless connectivity end to end? And that's the journey Booking.com wants to be on in real particular, other OTAs also, but Booking.com in particular, and that we have joined them on that journey and basically bringing that forward to the ecosystem. Yeah, that's the exciting but very hard and detailed work that we are bringing to the table. And one of the products where we are really putting all of the solutions that we have built with Booking, Airbnb, Vrbo, and all the other relevant OTAs in the vacation rental industry is really the supply API. We are bringing all the innovations, and there's also a change in channel management today, that the channel manager is sort of leading an API, an aggregated API with promotions, reviews, messaging, also regulations is coming, but all aggregated so that you as a PMS or a very large property manager, for instance, in the enterprise segment that has a technology team, you can just integrate one API, maintain one API, and benefit from a very rich API suite that we have developed over years because it was our only focus to do that. So, yeah, it's an open invitation. Look at our solutions to basically see what we can change for the travelers and for the hosts. Basically, I think the technology ecosystem has a tremendous responsibility to make the exchange between hosts and travelers far more seamless and easy.
Yeah, absolutely. What about messaging? Is it a unified inbox for all the channels within NextPax?
Yeah, no. So like what you see, we tried first to go in with a unified inbox with all of our users, and then said, okay, we have a unified inbox in our core system, which is the channel management operating system where you log in and you can do all kind of stuff. And then a lot of our hosts came in and said, hey, I am actually using Zendesk. I'm actually using another customer service.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't really necessary.
Or I have actually other systems in use. Can you expose this in other ways? And so we developed two items. Is the messaging API, which is part of our supply API. And we basically aggregated. Is a very nice example of aggregation of functionality. We aggregated the APIs of like Vrbo, Expedia, and Airbnb and Booking into one messaging API where you can do this with all of these channels and even more. So that's an example of a product that we're delivering in an open environment, an API environment towards the ecosystem, and with that demonstrating it's not anymore only about content and pricing distribution. It's not only about making sure that all the bookings are synchronized back to the PMS. There is way more that we can automate, aggregate, and provide in a better way towards the ecosystem on the supply side. Yes, people can go to our inbox. Yes, people can use the API to plug it in the system what they like, but we can also convert a messaging API into just an email. And when you just respond to email, we transfer it back via API. So for every customer, basically, whatever their need is, there's sort of a solution depending on the capabilities and the needs. And I think that's a perfect example of how channel management has evolved and why a role of a standalone channel management company is still there.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting and a huge benefit to have everything in one place. So that's good to hear. We'll be back in just a minute. But first, a word from our premier brand sponsor, Homes and Villas by Marriott Bonvoy.
My name is Dylan Gibbs. I'm a director of revenue for East West Hospitality. What made Marriott Bonvoy an appealing partner for East West Hospitality, besides the team over there being fantastic to work with, they also have really strong brand recognition and customer loyalty. They're a top-notch hospitality brand, making memories for really millions of guests annually, and that really aligns well with our brand and our vision. As we are a luxury vacation rental management company, we're consistently seeking new distribution partners to get our properties in front of the right guests at the right rate at the right time. They provide exactly the opportunity to do that. We're seeing that Marriott provides for us ongoing support around curation, auditing, and optimization of our listings, which is a huge one. Besides describing it as a dream to work with their team, super responsive. They're definitely very reactive when we need them to be, but they're very proactive as well. Partnering with Marriott Bonvoy has been tremendously beneficial. They are a top producer as far as connected channels go, and the ability to utilize points to spend those points to book a luxury vacation home, that can't be overstated as a benefit of their platform. It is a huge benefit, both for the guest and for us. We have absolutely noticed a difference in the types of guests that HBMB brings to the table with how well-traveled the guests tend to be. They're very organized, very thoughtful in considering their accommodations. They have a little bit higher expectations, but that's absolutely what we bring to the table as well. Our homeowners have resoundingly been pleased with the partnership, really delivers significant value. A lot of the homeowners are also HBMB members. They travel a lot, so they know what HBMB is all about. Really, they've been very happy and with the level of care that the typical HBMB guest has for the property, treating our homeowners' homes like it's their own home. If a property manager is not currently using HBMB, if you're on the fence about signing onto the program, I would highly recommend doing it. You've already worked through all the due diligence and talking to the team. The Marriott partnership has been a huge success for us. Distribution, listing management, and hosting through the platform are all very easy and really give you access to fantastic clientele.
Ready to take your property management business to the next level? Go live with Homes and Villas by Marriott Bonvoy by August 4th, 2025, and receive Marriott Bonvoy Platinum status for 1 year, 36,000 bonus points, and a marketing feature on a Homes and Villas marketing channel after you launch. Click the link in the description to get started today. Another question I have too, I mean, just, this year and just seeing how, bookings are, down in a lot of areas, and we're continuously seeing that, post the COVID boom, that, bookings just aren't the same as they were a few years ago even, but also with Airbnb and just the different, regulations and restrictions that they've put on hosts as far as what they can do off platform. Are you seeing a lot of hosts and property managers come to you that they're looking now to diversify onto more channels because of what's going on with that? Do you feel?
Yeah, I completely agree. That post-COVID we are seeing some oversupply in some areas, and that makes the market more volatile. And then on top of that, if you focus on US specifically, change in travel demand. So you see 1/3 decrease of Canadians doing self-driving holidays into the US, and overseas travel is -3. And these are inbound from Canada, and overseas totals in total already like 50% of the travel demand going into the US. These are macroeconomical trends, whether it's political or not political related, or related to personal budget due to economic reasons. It's a fact. So property managers need to compete with more properties for less travelers. So how do you do that? Is to make your upper funnel as wide as possible. So just listing on Airbnb and Vrbo and saying, okay, then I have my direct website and then I'm okay. That time is over. So you need to widen your distribution efforts beyond the top 3 players in vacation rentals in the US, and also really seek niches. And you can seek niches in last minute channels that are really performing well. You can seek, if you have very exclusive listings, you can seek diversification through partners like Plum Guide and Homes and Villas by Marriott Bonvoy to really address those luxury customers. And I think as you widen your distribution efforts, they will not come at the same volume every channel, but you at least make 2 things happen. You make your listings advertise at far more places, because some of these niche websites also onward distribute to other places. So your properties are out at way more places, and you can become less dependent on just one channel. And that's also, I think, very important to consider. If the trend line of traveler demand is at a peak and slowly decreasing, and there is more competition around, so then better be out there everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm curious too. What of the niche channels that are out there, which ones are performing really well this year?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a great demand from APAC based channels that are massively growing. If you look at the investments that Trip.com is making, Agoda, but also Make My Trip from emerging countries where a lot of travelers are getting increased budgets and increased, needs to discover the world. I think that's truly incremental business. Then I think if you look to the American market, where it predominantly has been based around Airbnb and Vrbo, you see really Booking.com making an entry, and that's bringing a new type of travelers. And then an untapped demand really is still managed corporate travel and managed leisure travel. So without naming channels, it's an entire segment that is untapped of within vacation rentals. And so that is really a segment that we are launching something new in to offer this opportunity towards accommodation partners. So for hotels, they have been working for years with these corporate travel management companies like American Express GBT, with BCD Travel and Carlson Wagonly, for instance, to really tap into the managed corporate travel programs of an IBM, of a DHL, really these big Fortune 500 companies. And recent data in the industry just shows that 2 out of 10 employees within these corporate companies, they are already booking vacation rentals for business travel. But in order to advertise there, you need to be in the GDS, and you need to be in those tools that the corporates allow these travelers to book in. And that's why with NextPax we are launching in July our GDS connectivity, and I think that's going to be a big change in the market.
We're excited about that. I think people are really interested, and I think to your point, people have been doing the bleisure, the blending of kind of leisure, vacation stuff, bringing their families, and so obviously, booking several hotel rooms is not economical when you can just book a vacation rental. But beyond the channels, kind of to dovetail off of what Alex was saying, during times when things are slower and economic worries and those kind of things, I mean, channels is really important, and really diversifying and making sure you're not only on one one path of sale. What do you think are like some underutilized tools within the channels? And we talk a lot about rate plans and promotions, but what do you think people can be doing more specifically in the US market, but overall to utilize the channels better for their benefit?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Like I always try to relate to the brand Nike that has this slogan, "Just do it," and there is this perception within the market of accommodation partners is that, okay, let's just list it, and it encompasses my cancellation policy has already worked for 30 years. I am only using one, and this is it. Promotions are for my direct website. No need to do it on a channel. Or, I only have to respond very quickly my own direct website travelers. Or, all these kind of perceptions, or doing rate markups because I don't want to pay the commission of an OTA. And I think that perception needs to change for a couple of reasons. Slower demand, more competition, and hotels that are fighting back and also knowing how to create this vacation rental experience in more room types with private swimming pools and private jacuzzis and whatsoever. So if you look at one of the underutilized topics, big underutilized topics still out there in the market is like free cancellation. And a lot of the cancellation policies of a lot of property managers are still 42 days before arrival, you need to pay 75% of the rental amount, and there are 2 installments. Hardly you see, 7 days or 2 days before you can cancel free of charge. And I think a lot of the channels are trying to diversify there. Channels are launching seasonal cancellation policies, so that outside of high season, you can flex your policy more to get more bookings. But the most, I think, working concept is the concept of managing multiple policies at the same time. This is supported by channels like Booking, Expedia, Agoda, Trip.com, who are saying, hey, you can run your non-refundable. And by the way, free cancellation, you can run a side of that. And there's interesting traveler research saying that 50% of travelers are willing to pay more for flexibility. And 19% of these travelers are even willing to pay $50 more than for a non-refundable rate. So this becomes extremely interesting, right? So you can create your base with your non-refundable policies, but at the same time, you can utilize a very lean policy that is attracting a lot of demand because a lot of people are searching for free cancellation on these OTAs, and then capture that with a premium. Of course, there's a risk of cancellation, but on the other hand, there's an increased opportunity of making more, while there's always this last minute demand that if a cancellation comes through, you can make up for it. So that's, I think, a very exciting element that's underutilized. And then I would really vouch for, if you have promotions and you use them on a direct website, also distribute these promotions on your key OTAs. And the reason for that, why I'm saying this, is you can turn OTA customers in people that experience your product and that you can do remarketing with. You can form a direct relationship with. There are even channels that are offering geo promotions. So you can say, okay, US to US or Canada to US are my main markets. But aside from that, I want to develop the inbound of Chinese travelers using my accommodations. Or I want to have more French-speaking customers into my accommodations. Yeah, you can
kind of steer the ship. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's an interesting way of looking at it too, of like, trying to specifically, if you're trying to just broaden your customer base of like this, we were trying to reach these different types of travelers, where they're from, or not just the booking windows, but maybe where they're from, to geographically get a different spread of people. I think that's an interesting strategy to look at too. But I'm interested so for some of the the OTAs that are also primarily, I would say most consumers look at them more as like hotel OTAs, like Expedia or Booking. Obviously a lot of vacation rental companies use them, and I know you connect with tons of vacation rentals to them. But what areas are you seeing that those channels are performing the best? Like, is it mostly in more urban areas, or is it in the true vacation destinations, or like any sort of trends that you're seeing with those in particular?
I think both of these channels are really trying to gain supply in every area. So where Booking.com in the US primarily has been focusing on hotels in the past, you really see with the help and the feedback of the entire ecosystem that they are changing. And the same goes for Expedia, that they are changing the way they look at the industry. And for the launch of payments products, both from Expedia and Booking.com towards the vacation rental market to really drive the necessary change and onboard accommodation partners towards these payment products opens up for the way they are trying to attract travelers. And the fact that if you join payments by booking or Expedia Collect, Expedia Traveler Preference, right, then you also open up to all kind of alternative payment methods. And you also open up for the more easy redistribution that these top line OTAs also have within their strategic partnerships, right? The introduction of virtual cards, or the fact that Booking or Expedia takes payment because they have a B2B relationship at the back that is providing tons of travelers. Yeah, you open up to that by joining those programs. So that's another thing that I would advise accommodation partners is to really be on board of those programs. And it's not only about that Booking is then taking charge of the payment or Expedia is taking charge of the payment and you lose sort of that direct payment relationship. No, you also open, and that's again coming to the story of like opening upper funnel, is you open up to all the B2B relationships because they need that sort of payment product to be in place in order to do that with all of these B2B distributors. And that's sometimes underutilized in the communications. And I think it's very important to emphasize that payments is almost a vital filter. And when you're not on a payment product, then you're missing out on demand.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge in the US because there are some states that are going to regulate how that actually plays out. So some states are saying that OTAs can't be merchant of record. But I always counter that with, your frustration and your friction with a lot of these channels has been the failed credit cards was always a high problem with Booking.com. So yeah, so if they can take care of it for you, doesn't that ultimately ease your day? So there's two schools of thought, and there's certainly, I think, unfortunately, during COVID, we saw some bad taste left in people's proverbial mouth about channels because they took all the money back and everybody was in a bad spot. But I think overall, I mean, one of the things that's really fun about what we do at NextPax is that we have such a diverse list of channels that people really can kind of create the menu of offerings that they want for their owners, to be able to promote their properties. And so it's really a larger conversation that we try to have on a strategy level within the US for sure. And I know they do it in Europe. It's just, the conversations are a little different. Lennart, one of the things I wanted to ask you, you have the relationship with the channel. So you're kind of seeing the trends from them before, say, the markets are actually seeing the trends, maybe identifying them. Are there any trends that you're seeing that are going on? Because what I've noticed over time is that sometimes the trends that are happening in Europe will follow suit in the US, maybe 6 months to a year down the road. Are there any changes that have happened in Europe that you've noticed that you think will be ultimately coming to the US in terms of maybe traveler behavior, maybe it's operations within a property manager as how they utilize channels? Is there anything that's come up that you think is interesting?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. So there are three trends that you see evolving. One is a very serious trend is the need or what governments are doing with more regulations and the need for the ecosystem to really rapidly adapt and build a solution for property managers, the tech ecosystem. And the second one is definitely event-based travel. So with the launch of Airbnb experiences and with the launch of various attraction companies, that people are first booking their Taylor Swift concert and then thinking about accommodation and how to get there and stuff. So there's a lot happening, but the biggest trend, and I hate to break and say it, but it's still AI. AI is transforming search, and as it is transforming search, OTAs start to get to know way more about travelers than before. Because instead of filtering a few filters that are already available and given by OTAs, you are now giving all your wishes, all your search needs, all your specifics in a prompt. And that leads to OTAs learning faster about traveler needs, designing new amenities, designing new filters, or designing a totally a new way of showcasing and publishing properties. And that's the biggest trend. So like that is coming in a very big wave, and it's happening in the US and in Europe. There's no regional difference there, right? Whoever is launching it, and I think that's where you need to change as an accommodation partner, in like really saying, okay, instead of looking at your own data set and the way that you have always distributed your amenities or selected which amenities need to be in a vacation rental, is that you look at and you ask and you intertwine with your software companies and with your OTAs to say, hey guys, what are you seeing from your AI searches? What new amenities are you launching? What should I have in my vacation rental if I want to be successful in like the next 2-3 years? Because that's how rapid it is going to be. And so we are trying as NextPax to also really build on that AI wave and say, okay, we get all the pictures from the property managers. If they're not in the right size, we upsize them. If they are not provided with the right tags because there are system limitations, we let AI do the tagging, and we are seeing, right? So from sometimes we get from import, we get this is house. All the pictures are tagged as house, and then we run our AI, and then we suddenly have 3 to 5 tags per picture, and it's just a massive increase of quality, and there's an increase of search and matching. That's what OTAs do, and that's how you get into the right spot for the traveler. And it goes even further, because like if you have the image, I can see well, you have a bookshelf there and a desk, a chair, and there's you can see that of every picture in the swimming pool. Oh, you have nice lounge chairs, you have a fenced pool, everything. That makes it also easier because you need less data from the source, and you can just have AI look at pictures and design or bring up all the amenities that are in a vacation rental. So these are trends. The AI trend is impacting search, is impacting the way we communicate, because we earlier talked about messaging, that we can integrate all these endpoints from the OTAs. Yeah, why shouldn't we start with answering like 90% of the basic questions by AI? Like some OTAs have published figures that 90% of their customer service has been automated with AI.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, AI has to have simplified the onboarding process for you significantly. I mean, think about even just, a few years ago, I mean, the onboarding and, whether it's a PMS or a channel manager, it can be a heavy lift, but I mean, now with how things are, it's like that just simplifies things so much and just makes the listings better, I mean, just the way that you described it. So that's really cool. We'll be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our premier brand sponsor, Grand Welcome.
My name is Matt Pessler. I currently operate in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky region and Columbus, Ohio, and we're actually looking to expand early 2026 into Indianapolis, and we've been with Grand Welcome since October 2022. I was operating 12 of my own short-term rentals, and I was struggling to find a solid local management company that understood the business. I'd already been in the short-term rental business, managing my own for probably 6+ years at the time, and I just saw an opportunity to build something better, more scalable than what the competition currently was offering in Cincinnati, Ohio. I chose Grand Welcome after experiencing it firsthand on the owner side. I had a home in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was looking for someone to begin managing that one. And so I went off with the Nashville, Tennessee franchise and chose them to be my property manager. And I saw it from an owner standpoint, a lot of the technology and things that Grand Welcome could offer an owner. And I knew immediately that I had a very unique opportunity in Cincinnati to bring a company like Grand Welcome in and operate it. Grand Welcome has helped us scale by providing strong tech systems, internal training, supportive network of franchisees to learn and collaborate with. They've also introduced us to additional services and tools that we were using on our platform from companies that assist us with taking out the trash or other technology systems that just make us way more efficient. We started seeing steady revenue growth within the first 4 to 6 months of joining Grand Welcome. Like any new business, the first couple years has had challenges, but now our team's seeing steady growth consistently every month to month. We're very excited about the growth. For example, last May, we're around $250,000 in gross revenue, and this May we broke $600,000. Being part of Grand Welcome has helped me expand because it gives you the capability to have the backing as far as a pricing team, marketing team, customer service team, a network of individuals that many have been doing in short-term rentals even longer than me. And when you have those resources, it takes a lot off your plate so you can focus on the growth.
Click the link in the description to get a free growth hack analysis and a P&L evaluation. And make sure to tell them you heard about this offer on the Alex and Annie podcast.
You can really go in niches now. For instance, I have a channel here in Europe, or we have a channel as a company here in Europe. It's called Finno, largest Norwegian marketplace. But they require all the listings to have Norwegian descriptions and Norwegian currency, right? And we source descriptions from all kind of PMS systems. And guess what? Not every PM knows how to write in Norwegian or can do it on scale for all their properties. Yeah, I mean, this is the quality of AI to really transmit descriptions into different languages, and therefore enabling us to enable a niche for them. So that's these are interesting things that are happening. A lot of people talk about AI like simplifying tasks of people, but it can also bring higher quality in the level of accommodation data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of
no,
the
that's
things
huge.
and one of the things we're really working on is to be able to, one thing that I think every technology provider suffers from is support. The support queue gets backed up. And so we're really working towards having AI kind of be the front line of defense. So if there's basic stuff that we can help navigate through with a partner to say, like, here's where you go do this in our system, or here's how you do this, so they don't get stuck in a forever loop or a backlog of support. AI can take away some of those things where you don't have to have that absolute human interaction. Now, the nice thing is the partner can say, like, I want to talk to somebody, and they can get to a person, but that front line of defense is able to get them a response within, sometimes it's within 5 minutes they can get the answer to it instead of waiting 24 hours or again waiting till a human can pick it up. So AI definitely has been a great asset for us to deploy within the NextPax system.
Yeah, and AIs are getting so smart that also big companies adopt and build solutions on top of it, and where you can connect it with your website, you can connect it with your APIs, you can connect it with your own operating system, and then basically they can search themselves, and they have all the knowledge. They can even write code for PMS systems, we did a live test in Copenhagen, I think 4 weeks ago, where we said, hey, we asked Breeze from HubSpot, our solution. We said, I want to build promotions towards Booking.com and Airbnb. They both have last minute promotions. Can you please write me the code I need to use to connect my PMS to those APIs? Yeah. Which coding language do you want? Well, RESTful. Okay, done. And the entire format on how to do that is written within 10 seconds. And then you need to plug it in. And that shows how fast things can go. And it also shows why you see a lot of PMS solutions that are fully AI driven, startups, and they are seeking just an API to connect to the world, which they can use a supply API for. And then they solve also these kind of things with AI. And then suddenly you can build your whole connectivity out in a matter of 2 weeks. to all OTAs. So why connect with every OTA directly as a PMS? Is then also why would you still do that?
Yeah. No, super interesting. And one thing that you both kind of touched on earlier, but about if you're running promotions on your own direct website, that you should be running the promotions on the OTAs as well. And I was curious, what you've seen as trends there, because I know, I mean, years ago, it used to be that the OTAs really were strict on parity. I don't know if that still really is as much of an issue now because it's so complex to be able to track down. But are you seeing managers really utilizing, pushing out the discounts, or are they still just trying to, cover the commission on the OTAs and maybe not doing that as much?
Yeah, you really see a switch, and Annie was alluding to that Europe-US thing difference. I think in Europe there's a bit more appetite because in Europe a few years back we had all of these trials to reduce or remove parity from agreements, and hotels actually lobbied against vacation rentals and against OTAs to remove parity and to have a more open industry. But what we're now seeing is that the OTAs are launching very interesting promotions. For instance, if you're a new listing and you want to make a good living on Airbnb or Booking, and Vrbo is also having it, you're coming on the platform without reviews because nobody stayed from these channels on your at your recommendation. Now, how do you diversify your product towards product with a lot of reviews and a lot of customer recognition? Then they say, okay, you can offer a new listing promotion, which is often a discount, and it applies on the first month or 3, or it applies on the first X amount of bookings to really promote those listings. And also, again, geo rates, mobile rates. These are promotions that are so unique and that people want to try them out, and they are seeing good results. But alluding to the point of parity earlier, if you run promotions only on your direct website and not on OTAs, you get these price differences everywhere, right? So like in Google Rentals and in meta search websites where you may be listed. And research from these players show if there's a 1% difference in price, no matter whether it's your own listing or your OTA listing, it reduces trust dramatically, that there is 30% decrease in conversion. So what does that tell you? Like, having such big price differences actually is harmful. So you better can give the same price across all of these OTAs and build up a promotional price and a promotional tag on these OTAs that again help you convert with the OTAs, turn travelers direct afterwards. And that can be a strategy. That's why I think OTAs are not cannibalizing, OTAs are not competing. OTAs, you need to find the right mix. Of course, you need to protect your direct business, but protect your direct business and grow your direct business by applying the right marketing strategies for direct and still utilize indirect to have a solid traveler base that you welcome at your properties, that you can wow, that you can bring a fantastic experience, and then try remarketing them into direct travelers. So that's why I think the pricing needs to be on par, and that you need to advertise your promotions also on channels and data. There's significant sets of data that is articulating this.
Yeah, I think also overall it's just, people get so dependent on one channel and there's we deal with so many people that they don't even have a direct website or they haven't done anything to their website to refresh it in, gosh, no, I mean, Alex, I know you see it in your consulting, like 3 to 5 years at best, So the channels are constantly retooling the way they serve up, and they're doing A/B testing all the time. And why not learn from them and utilize that so you can build up your base? Now, the thing we know is travelers aren't going to the same destination year after year like they used to be. They're trying out different destinations, but that doesn't mean that if they stayed with you this year that they won't go back. I mean, you, Alex, great example. You and your husband just went to Mexico. You went to a resort that you hadn't been to in several years, but you went back to it because your experience was
4
great.
years
And
later.
when you
Yeah.
right. So, you didn't go every year, but you still
Right.
went back there. And so I think that that's where managers often miss out the fact that they are like, I need this guest to be a repeat every year, but that's not how the way people travel
It's not
anymore,
realistic.
especially,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not realistic. People want to go all over. But Leonard, I think one of the things I wanted to touch on too is we've got a couple of offers in the marketplace, especially in the US, to get managers to utilize channels and utilize the NextPax platform. Do you want to touch on specific to our Booking.com promotion?
Yeah, so basically what we did within NextPax is that we looked, okay, with which OTA can we drive consumer action? And like most of the accommodation partners, they are on Airbnb and they are on Vrbo. So if I want to drive a new action or incrementality, basically, if we can get accommodation partners on Booking.com, then we are doing an offer. And the offer is that we do free channel management until the end of the year. So basically, what this means is you are net new to Booking.com, so you've never worked with Booking.com before because you were hesitant to engage due to invalid credit cards. Well, now they have their payments program, or in the past the commissions were not in line with what you were asking for, or it was still too much hotel focus, which is now completely different. With all of these objections gone, we want to offer a tool that is completely free. And if you go to advertise on Booking.com and list on Booking.com, you get access to our channel manager for free, which you then can subsequently use for all the other channels too. So we're really handing out a free technology software to really go out and experience something new. That's the condition. People need to widen their distribution and to experience something new, which is also coming back in our philosophy of channel management again. And I think that's great for people to experience, and they get to experience high class technology, which is preferred by all of these channels. And there's never been a more economical way to try out channel management in a big way.
Yeah. And I mean, now's the time to be thinking about that too, right? I mean, I know a lot of managers, they want to start implementing something towards the end of the season, going into the off season. If you're in a beach destination like Andy and I both are, so you've got that time to kind of get things ready and gearing up, because 2026 is right around the corner. Crazy to think about.
And you better take those learnings and onboard fast. And that's also where we are continuously investing in is how quickly can you get these properties live. So we're for instance, we can import existing accommodations that you have on one platform to build everything automatically in NextPax and then distribute it back to other channels again. So that's another key feature I think is driving a lot of growth, because people don't want to rebuild when migrating systems. They want everything to be basically ingested and then be reused on other platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On that, 'cause we had a property manager that actually signed a contract, started onboarding yesterday morning, and they were live by the end of the day on
Oh,
Booking.com.
wow.
All channels.
Like, so,
Wow.
that's tremendous. And then, what we've seen with Booking, to the point of the power, and I was just at their Click event, which is their event that they do in different super regions around the world. I was at that 2 weeks ago, and they are all in on vacation rentals. I mean, they want to learn, they want to understand. They know there's a lot of differences between Europe and US, and they're very eager to kind of listen to all of the property managers. And we're going to be doing some events in some key markets coming up. We're doing one in Nashville coming up here. We're going to do Austin, and then some other markets with Booking, to go out and kind of allow people to ask the questions and really understand it. But one thing that we see consistently is when we get property managers live on that channel, they get a booking within 24 hours. And
Really? Wow.
that doesn't happen on most channels. I mean, Airbnb, sometimes that'll happen if you're in a hot market, but Booking has the power. And I think that people just are not recognizing the capabilities that it has. It's been a force in Europe, and it's going to be a force in the US. And it's a great time to adopt it because we're giving it for free, giving the channel management part of it for free this year.
And then another element to highlight, I think, also is if you look at all the data of all the channels, is Airbnb has a very informed and experience and marketing-driven culture and booking system. Vrbo is really tailored towards family, but where Booking.com is really king is also a short, medium demand. So like the booking window in 30 days is really where they are highly profiling, and that's where continuously when we are into the season in January and we're going up till April, May, then is the booking power, at least here in the Europe season. But you will find that in every part of the world where it gets closer to the hot dates, that's where you really see the booking travelers really start to book. So still not too late to endure high season demand and to capture that. So that's also interesting for US market, especially as we see from macroeconomical numbers that the inbound is slower to the US, and inbound from Canada and Mexico is also slower. So yeah, then better widen distribution and do it with someone that can still deliver also for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very cool to hear all about what you guys have going on. I mean, it's been fun to watch the journey, and I get to hear obviously quite a bit from Annie and the successes and just the growth that you've provided for managers across the world, which is pretty incredible. But if anybody wants to get more information about NextPax, I know they can contact Annie, but also Lennart, how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, so basically on our website, we have various landing pages for various segments. So you can even, if I'm a holiday park or a hotel or a vacation rental, we have tailored information for you. You can get in touch via our support. You can call us. And we are at events. Annie just named 2 in the US, in Austin and Nashville, that we're organizing together with Booking.com. And at all the various trade shows, of course.
Excellent. Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with Annie and I, you can go to alexandanniepodcast.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, everybody.